There's a lot of great places to see trains in the East Coast. In 2025, several trips are made through the states of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. Join us as we take you from Gardens to Wolverines. Since we're beginning in New Jersey, we'll take a look at the largest passenger railroad in that state, New Jersey Transit. As we visit Raritan, on the Raritan Valley Line, a train is waiting just outside the station. While it does, another train approaches from a nearby yard. The blue locomotive continues waiting as the eastbound train boards its passengers. Now, the engineer in cab car 7044 makes the train accelerate. As the eastbound train leaves the scene, we see the engine pushing the 6 bi-levels. ALP 45 and 4514. The blue engine comes closer to us to drop off its passengers. As it does, we notice that it is the Autism Acceptance Unit 4506. It doesn't take long for the train to get out of the station. It will then go into the yards to prepare for another eastbound run. Any day on the Jersey Shore is a good day, especially if you're at Point Pleasant. There's a miniature train ride on the boardwalk. This train has an internal combustion engine. While seeing it run on steam would be preferable, it's still fun to watch. Pulling 2 cars, the red and blue engine makes a nice run by. Leaving the boardwalk, we go to another part of Point Pleasant to watch more New Jersey Transit action. Multiple passengers on the platform as ALP 45 4535 approaches on a northbound run to New York City. While the train gets out of Point Pleasant, we see another train approaching. Soon, 4535 comes to a stop. The line is single track up ahead, and 4535 had to stop to let the other train run through. The second train gets pushed closer to us. As it comes to a stop, we notice the autism unit. This was a great surprise to end our visit to Point Pleasant. .4506 gets underway to Bayhead, while we follow the line north to make another stop. A train of bi-levels races through as we stand on the platform of the Woodbridge station. Another train of bi-levels pulls in for a station stop. A terrible derailment occurred at Woodbridge in the early 1950s. A passenger train of the Pennsylvania Railroad was traveling over a bridge, which was being repaired. The engineer went too fast over the bridge, which caused his train to derail. Over 80 passengers were killed, making it the deadliest railroad accident in New Jersey.
Littletown, Red Bank.
(4613) and ALP 46 pushes its passenger train southbound out of Woodbridge. Smoke is seen coming from a cigarette. The fire department was alerted, and it took care of the hazard before any flames could damage the tracks. We move to another location with excellent passenger action, Princeton Junction. A train of Aero 3s is waiting to pick up passengers going to Princeton University. Meanwhile, Track 1 is out of commission due to repairs. Therefore, 3 tracks are in use instead of the normal 4. This is the Northeast Corridor, the only passenger route used by Amtrak in New Jersey. The station is owned by New Jersey Transit, but Amtrak owns the entirety of this line from New York to Washington, D.C. (1326) and 1321 get underway. Their passengers are now going to Princeton University in the nearby town of Princeton. We have the pleasure of catching another special NJT locomotive, the Pennsylvania Railroad Heritage Unit. As it makes a station stop, an Amtrak ACS 64 races by and overtakes the Heritage Unit. (4636) is about to get underway, but before it does, another passenger train enters the scene. The Tuscan Red Heritage Unit gets out of Princeton Junction as another NJT train running south to Trenton pulls in behind an ALP 45. The ALP 45 is similar to an ALP 46, but there are 2 differences. One is that the 45s only have 1 cab. Another difference is the addition of a diesel motor. If the catenary is disabled or if there is no catenary, an ALP 45 can simply switch to diesel power to continue pulling its train. This Amtrak train is made up of 10 amphileets between ACS 64s. 602 pulls the train, while 648 is at the back. ACS 64s have beautiful horns. You can hear for yourself as one of them races south. Another Amtrak train, this time the Acela. The Princeton shuttle comes back from Princeton University. We'll get a closer view of the two cars as they leave the station. The two Aero 3s won't have to go very far to reach Princeton University. Princeton University is only a few miles away from Princeton Junction. Amtrak GP15 number 578 is pulling a trio of bright green hopper cars used for carrying ballast.
Princeton Junction customers, the next train to stop on track 2 will be the 11:11 a.m. eastbound train 2.
Passengers get ready to board as another NJT train approaches Princeton Junction. Another group of passengers waits to board their train as the ALP-46 pushes its train north. The wind shakes up our camera as we continue viewing the ALP-46. Cab cars on Amtrak are usually used only on Keystone trains, which run to Harrisburg. This train, however, has more than 5 cars, indicating that it is not a Keystone train. Amtrak 638 and ACS 64 is required to push its amphileets to Washington, D.C. As the Princeton shuttle waits for more passengers on another part of the station, 638 pushes its train.
A.m. westbound train to Trenton is now operating 13 minutes late.
Now, 2 NJT trains are present, as bi-levels are seen with the Aero 3s. Amtrak makes another appearance. This is the Pennsylvania, train 43. (1326) and 1321 get underway again as they head back to Princeton University. Heading a short distance west from Princeton Junction, we end up in Hamilton. A maintenance train is seen out in the far distance, as an Amtrak train with 2 ACS 64s races through Hamilton. Ballast hoppers are in the sidings as another train approaches our location. As the train gets closer, we notice it is a New Jersey Transit train with bi-levels. As the 10-car train comes to a stop, we see the locomotive pushing the cars, ALP 46, 4629. And because track 1 is being repaired, passengers have to walk across several freight cars parked next to the platform. 4629 can push its bi-levels. Next stop, Princeton Junction. Several more stops will be made as the train goes to New York City. From above the tracks, we witness Amtrak 578, the same diesel we saw earlier at Princeton Junction. What should appear next but another NJT train at bi-levels? Both the bi-levels and the ALP-46 were constructed by Bombardier.
I think this is 7832.
Number 4631 pulls its 9 bi-levels out of Hamilton. Another rail fan is with us, using his cell phone to film an approaching Washington, D.C. bound Acela. The New York Yankees fan watches another train with us. It is New Jersey Transit ALP 46 4649. Its destination of Trenton is not far from our current location. After stopping at Hamilton, it only has to go a couple of miles to get to Trenton Transit Center. Amtrak provides us with the final train at Hamilton, as ACS 64-609 rushes past. The ACS 64s were built by Siemens between 2013 and 2016. Let's look at a third passenger line in New Jersey, the Belvedere and Delaware. While waiting for a train, a Norfolk Southern freight goes over the Belldelle branch. Norfolk Southern's bridge is also used to go over the Delaware River. The freight is gone, but we still have time before the passenger train arrives, so we take a moment to admire the Lehigh Junction shelter. Soon, a black and yellow GP9 approaches. This engine was built in 1959 for the Nickel Plate Road. In 2019, it was rebuilt by the Winchester and Western before being sold to the Belvedere in Delaware. THSX stands for Technical Historical Society. The New York, Susquehanna, and Western Technical and Historical Society jointly operates these trains with the Belldelle. The Society also owns and operates a 282 Mikado created by the Tangshan Locomotive Works in 1989, which we'll see later. After opening the coupler on one of the passenger cars, the conductor walks towards a switch to allow the locomotive to get out of the siding. The conductor climbs back on, and 811 reverses to couple onto its train. As the train begins to depart, you may notice a glimpse of the Delaware River behind the trees. This station is located in Phillipsburg, and as the train travels south, it follows the river to Regalsville. Although the official name of this railroad is the Belvidere in Delaware, it is sometimes referred to as the Delaware River Railroad. At Carpentersville, the train is seen traveling parallel to River Road. It left the southern end of the line at Regalsville and is now making its way back to Phillipsburg. Now, to watch Susquehanna 142, the 282 mentioned earlier. In October 2025, the engine returned after 8 years of repairs. 811 is seen bringing up the rear behind a former Chicago Northwestern bilevel. Number 142 was constructed by the Tangshan Locomotive Works in 1989. It is classified as an SY class Mikado. Thousands of these locomotives were constructed in the span of 39 years from 1960 to 1999. 1999 was also the year 142 appeared in the movie called Cider House Rules. In that movie, it was relettered for the Bangor and Aroostook. River Road is more proud of this 142 pulls her train. She's a few miles away from the end of the line at Regalsville. A few cars follow 142 to a crossing. Thankfully, nobody decides to race through as the train goes across the road. A few more photographers film 142 as the locomotive goes over a switch and enters a siding. Back at Phillipsburg, we again witness a Norfolk Southern train going over the Belldale tracks. An AC-44C6M and Dash 9 pull an intermodal across the bridge. The intermodal is gone, but we witness 811 pulling the train back to Phillipsburg. This is the builder's plate on 142 Smokebox. We also see 3 small pumpkins above the cowcatcher. Because it's October, the train's primary purpose on this day was to transport children, so they could get pumpkins to take home and turn into jack-o'-lanterns. On the engine's headlight is a crab. 142 pulls out of Phillipsburg with a 6-car train and 811 pushing at the rear.
See you guys later.
A different day in March allows us to view another Norfolk Southern intermodal going over the Delaware River. We are now on the Pennsylvania side in the town of Keystone. The last of the cars are seen going across the Delaware River and into Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Going west, we end up in Macungie on another chilly day with snow. We find an AC-44 C6M with a -9 pulling freight cars as they travel east. Another AC-44 is being used at the rear as a helper. Two more AC-44s take another freight east as they go through Macungie. We head south to Yardley and witness a SEPTA train approaching the station. Yardley is also a good place to watch freight trains. CSX runs parallel to SEPTA's West Trenton line. All four of the cars in this train were built by General Electric. They are known as Silverliner 4s. Two more Silverliner 4s pass through. They aren't required to stop here. Another 4-car train of SEPTA Silverliners approaches the station. The line they're traveling on is called the West Trenton Line, named after the nearby town of West Trenton, New Jersey. The two Silverliner 4s we saw earlier are now heading to Philadelphia. A CSX high rail approaches the station. As it approaches a bridge, it comes to a stop, backs up, then goes forward again. When asked why he backed up, the driver simply responded that he was double-checking a section of the line. This SEPTA train is made up of two Silverliner 4s. It will head across the Delaware River nearby as it goes to West Trenton, New Jersey. A headlight is seen in the fog, and it soon materializes into a CSX freight. Two diesels from General Electric pull the train through Yardley while two Silverliner 4s depart and head in the opposite direction. Another CSX freight train travels to New Jersey on the Trenton subdivision. As the cars continue rolling past our camera, a SEPTA train of Silverliner 5s follows the freight train. It comes to a stop at the platform, but quickly gets on the way again to follow the CSX train across the Delaware River. We leave Yardley and go to Woodburn. More fog is being created here by the melting snow. A 2-car train of Silverliner 5s is on its way to West Trenton.
Riders should expect crowded conditions.
A CSX truck is here, although it is not traveling on the tracks like the previous truck seen earlier. The truck is seen remaining stationary while 2 Silverliner 5s go to Philadelphia.
Riders should expect.
The driver had to get his truck into the nearby Woodburn yards, but he has returned. He then parks his truck near the main line. Again, the truck is stationary, while a CSX freight train travels north. The first car says, "Do not hump," which means it cannot roll down any hills in the hump yard. The next several cars are Tropicana reefers. After them, we see numerous flat cars. Much of them are empty, but some are carrying containers. With the freight gone, another short passenger train appears. It's raining, and the small amount of snow left on the ground will continue to melt. Silverliner 5s are approaching Woodburn. They go under a railroad bridge, around a curve, and through a crossing as they come to a stop at the station. Another good part of Pennsylvania to watch passing trains is Parksburg. Amtrak trains stop here as they run between New York City and Harrisburg. Parksburg is part of the Keystone Line, which runs east from Harrisburg to connect with the Northeast Corridor in Philadelphia. This 5-car passenger train has an ACS-64 on both ends. Generally, only one engine is required for these trains. The only reason this train has a second engine is because Amtrak was running short on cab cars. Cab cars are used to control the locomotive from the other end of the train. There was some construction going on, but today everything is quiet as the crews take a break. After admiring the station building, we see a trailer with the Amtrak logo. What could this be doing here? A cab car is being pushed into the station with 4 additional Amfleets. This train is going to Harrisburg. The ACS-64 pushing the train is wearing a special Crayola livery. Creativity truly is on the go as 621 pushes the 5 passenger cars westbound. The third train in Parksburg is another eastbound. One of the M fleets behind 654 is wearing a new livery known as Phase 7. Another cab car brings up the rear of 654's train. Lancaster has another good station serving Amtrak's Keystone line. Here we see the route's only diesel-powered passenger train, the Pennsylvania. This train travels on the Keystone line between Philadelphia and Harrisburg, but it is also required to go further west into Pittsburgh. No catenaries present between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh, so the train uses a diesel on most of the journey. Between New York and Philly, an electric engine is used. Number 114 continues waiting at the station in Lancaster. Finally, the train can depart. Or not. Okay, now it can depart. On the other side of the bridge, we see Genesis number 101 with the Pittsburgh-bound Pennsylvanian. Because the train travels a longer distance than the other trains on the Keystone Line, it also has more cars, including a Viewliner baggage car. It will be some time before the next train arrives, so let's admire the Lancaster station and the surrounding area near the building. These impressive sculptures are known as the Silent Symphonies. The wind makes them move, and they are fun to watch. There's also a couple of dealerships with cool cars. We again see 621 in its Crayola livery. It is now taking its train from New York City. Let's look at the Silent Symphonies one last time before leaving Lancaster. We move west and end up at the University of Akron in Akron, Ohio. A CSX Autorack train goes under the University Avenue Bridge. A GEVO and an SD70 MAP hold the cars past the university. We are now in the Wolverine State. Our first stop is the Henry Ford Museum, located in Dearborn near Detroit. Not everything is railroad related, but once you step inside, you'll love all the different machines located here. Of course, the museum is named after Henry Ford, so much of the museum has cars. This Ford is the 2011 Daytona 500 winner, driven by Trevor Bayne. Two Chevys are also nearby, the 9 car of Chase Elliott and the 3 of Austin Dillon. For a museum named after Ford's founder, there's a big collection of cars from other companies. This lineup of cars shows the progression of technology from the 90s to the 50s. It was amazing seeing the different cars from the past. Now this segment shows cars from the 1940s and earlier. This includes a World War II Jeep. A few more cars are seen that were used for transporting the president. You can see a sign that indicates this car's nickname is the Sunshine Special. Back to the trains. We see a very large steam engine next to a not-so-large engine. This old 040 is the DeWitt Clinton. while C&O 1601 is a 2666. We're not done with the cars though. Here's a DeSoto with a 1955 Corvette. There are still some more trains for us, such as the Rocket. A 440 from the Rogers Locomotive Works. And a snowplow. The steam locomotive behind the snowplow is a Bessemer and Lake Erie 280. A box cab diesel is on display with several more cars. Many of these are very rare. Such as the 1958 Edsel. And a Tucker torpedo. The Tucker Company only made 51 torpedoes in 1948, then went out of business. We're near 1601 again and see a miniature model of the locomotive. Who should make his way past? Percy, followed by a silver Alco road switcher and a trolley. A few more trains are seen, including a chassis system diesel on an elevated track. The yellow engine is pulling the car with Slinky, dressed as a tiger. The Henry Ford Museum also has an outdoor section called Greenfield Village. A cool thing to note about the village is that many historic machines are seen running, mostly old buses and Model Ts, but you can also see steam trains. We go for a ride behind Detroit and Lima Northern 7, a 440 built by Baldwin in 1897. The engine had a reputation for being one of Henry Ford's favorites.
Goodbye to Kaylee and Denise, thank you so much. Go ahead and take your seat, we're ready to move. Quickly, please. Thank you so much. You're embarking on a 2.5-mile track around the village, takes a half an hour to go all the way around. Wristband gets you onto all the historical transportation. If you have just a ticket for the train, hold on to it, get you on the rest of the day. And if you can get upgraded to the all-day wristband, they'll deduct the price. Now we are divided into districts. You're at the bottom left-hand side, letter A. Now first district, we are divided into districts, and the first district will be Model T. The little white farmhouse here is where Henry Ford was born on July 30th, 1863. He was born in the upstairs bedroom. This home actually was only about 2.5 miles east of here originally. Bagley Avenue, remaking a tractor cycle. You can see that inside the circle of the village, Ford Motor Company.
As we ride on the loop of track, note that all the buildings that make up Greenfield Village are also historic and come from many different places.
H.J. Hines House, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, known for the 57 varieties, but the first thing he ever made was horse Spanish in the basement of that home. Mrs. Cohen's Millinery Shop, the Gordon Jewelry Store,
A Detroit and Mackinac 060 is near the line with a tarp covering its cab.
He patented 1,093 patents in his lifetime, and the favorite invention, well, that would be Buckeye Bridge, 1832, on the railway track in southwestern Pennsylvania. The Harvard Bridge is Edison.
One of the Model Ts mentioned earlier is seen driving down a street.
Edison from Ontario, Canada. Buckeye Ridge to the right is to the blue Overland Ford Motor Company across the Ford vehicles at this time. This was also an airport back in the 1920s, featuring Henry Ford's tri-motors. If you're visiting the museum, you'll be able to see one there. Cotswold Cottage, top of the hill, Gloucester, England, 1600s. Limestone, no Webster's home. And this is our Susquehanna Plantation, 700-acre tobacco. If you choose to leave us at this station, please wait for the engineer's one whistle. Gives us the okay that we are safe. You'll exit on your left-hand side, and you'll look back for your personal belongings on the floor and the seat. Make sure that you have everything. Give us a moment. All right, if you choose, you may...
As we come to a stop, we can see part of the Ford Motor Company's proving grounds, used to test all of their road vehicles.
Everyone else, please remain in your seat, arms, legs, head inside, and please do not eat, drink, or smoke on board. Thank you. Well, thanks for joining us today. Well, it turned out to be very nice.
We are again underway.
Take this. Now, the small red building, for those of you who are not familiar with this, is coming up. It's the Plimpton House. Mom and Dad Plimpton and 7 children lived in this one-room home, Sudbury, Massachusetts. Here in the village. Our Ferris windmill is coming to us from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. It was originally used for grinding corn. Dates back to the 1600s, and it's the oldest windmill existing in the United States today. At our Daggett Farm, 1754, Andover, Connecticut. You might see Mrs. Daggett cooking over an open hearth fire because at that time period, stoves were not invented yet. That was during 1754. Model T ride, you get a little bit of a tour back this way. Paddock Lake, ever seen our turkeys, guys? This is the paddock area for the horses, but this is supposed to be the porch for the turkeys also. But you know what? They disappeared in November. They don't want to be seen. We're behind the number 7. It was an 1897 Wolverine. Built in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, involved with locomotive works. And the wheelbase at 440, boilers are fuel, heating, and water. The water now becomes steam and pushed through the steam tubes under pressure. This locomotive was Henry Ford's favorite. He obtained this in this area. Now we're going to have you sit back and enjoy listening to the sights, the sounds, and the smells of the steam locomotive, and we'll see a little of the preparation we have for our Halloween nights. Enjoy.
Our train goes through a grade crossing and passes a sign which reads Eagle Hill. The soccer field is seen as we approach the next station.
And we have the Jackson home, which will be opening on June of 2026. And this was part of the civil rights movement in Selma, Alabama, where Dr. Martin Luther King actually stayed with the Jackson family during that time period. The home has been brought here by the family and the Henry. It started out as a school in 1929 and actually lasted until the mid-1960s. Coming up on the right, you'll see Norfolk and Southern Railway. Freight trains go by, and you might see if it's still sitting there. It's still waiting for a train to go by. And also our Amtrak running from here from Detroit to Chicago. Oh, he's moving along now, it looks like. Let's listen to the North American.
And as we prepare to go through another crossing, the Norfolk Southern Freight is seen. Our train is running parallel to what was once the New York Central main line to Chicago. Known as the Detroit line, New York Central ran the Wolverine, Mercury, Motor City Special, and many other successful passenger trains. Amtrak still runs the Wolverine and a couple of other passenger trains, while Norfolk Southern handles all the freight.
This is the Martha Mary Chapel, named after Henry Ford's mother and mother-in-law, non-denominational. And we hold lots of weddings here at Victor's State this afternoon, which is they ring the bell themselves after they've been married. It's quite unique. The tasting histories are from 11 to 3 daily. We're now coming into Smith Creek on Railroad Junction, 2 blocks over Model Ts. The gold dome building to the left is the carousel. You can take a ride on the carousel. Station Master. Our next stop takes us back to the main gated area, which will take you to a parking lot or to the museum. If you're staying with us, stay right where you are. That will be underway very shortly. Conductor Bill's going to take over. I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon and this beautiful day here in Greenfield Village. Again, please wait for the engineer's whistle before standing up, and always look back for your personal belongings. Give us a moment.
Another stop is made, but we soon get underway again. Although the freight is gone, we can still see many freight cars. A Detroit and Mackinac caboose is also witnessed. Another YouTuber is seen filming our train. He goes by the name of Train Gaming. A link to his account will be in the description. We're right back where we started. We get off the train and watch its departure as Detroit and Lima Northern 7 pulls a trio of open-air cars. Number 7 is seen again pulling its 3-car train. Smith's Creek is where we will wait for another run-by of number 7. The old-fashioned locomotive makes a stop to pick up and drop off passengers. The attractive engine looks great in the blue and black livery. There's a bit of oil on the tracks, which causes number 7 to slip as she pulls her train. There's a few more passenger cars behind the caboose and freight cars. This building does not have any trains for us to see, but it was once a passenger station. It was part of the Michigan Central and later New York Central. A Canadian National SD40-2W scene from a hotel in another part of Detroit called Allen Park. This train of autoracks is traveling on former Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton trackage. Note the concrete arch, which was going to be used for carrying overhead wires to power electric trains, but that plan was canceled. Many more concrete arches can be found, although the catenary was never installed. The next day, we view another train stationary under the concrete arches at Allen Park. And finally, we end up at Ann Arbor. Amtrak trains sometimes exchange passengers with Greyhound buses. This stone structure used to be a passenger station, but was sold and became a restaurant. An SC-44 Charger pulls into the station. This is the Wolverine, bound for Chicago. It gives us a great finale as it departs the station and goes under a bridge carrying another railroad line.